Hey guys, how all of you beautiful people are doing? And yes, this is a new series, Life as Goku. Kris Lander is the definition of average. Average student going to an average school, living an average life until one day a trunk kissed him a little too hard and he is thrown through the void. When he wakes up he finds out that he is in the body of Son Goku. With his new life, he will be anything but average and rise to the top until he becomes a god. So let's start without any delay. Yamcha went up to the man-wolf and him with a straight jab. Yamcha was surprised that the man-wolf did not dodge or counter the initial attack. Instead, man-wolf hit the wall of the temple hard with a smack. Man-wolf's head was spinning a bit with stars surrounding him. "Ah, you okay, man?" For all that spunk, Yamcha was confused at how weak this man-wolf was. That didn't last long as he became more vigilant when man-wolf stood back up. I need to beat you to fight that Jackie-chan." Man-wolf wiped the corner of his mouth where some blood was. He spat Jackie-chan like it was full of venom. "Why do you hate him so much? He seems like a nice guy. A little perverted though. A little. You should know what he did to me." Horrific flashback. The day was sunny and the park was green. Children were running around playing and there was a park bench where two people were talking to each other. "Hey, babe, why don't you come back to my place for a good time?" The male of the two started flirting. His efforts were getting him somewhere because the lady that he was flirting with was somewhat interested. Maybe. She fluttered her eyes a bit, capturing the male's heart. However, his worst nightmare came knocking on his bench. Is something wrong with you, lad? There a piece of animal fur stuck to your skin." An old geezer came up to him and told him. He plucked a hair that was sticking out of his shirt, showing it to the couple. The girl was a little disgusted with a questioning gaze directed at the man. Wait, I can explain." The man was extremely nervous and stuttering. "I understand, young one." The man sighed a little in relief. "You are a wolf man, right? I heard of them. They can become a wolf during a full moon if they so wished." The man was shocked beyond belief. Did this old man mistake me for those low-class wolf men? Before he could respond, the female beside him jumped up instantly. "A wolf man? No. I promise I am not." The man's heart was beating rapidly. Sweat pouring down his head, wondering where the actual fuck this old geezer came from. "Hey, it's okay, don't be ashamed of your race." The old geezer patted his shoulder. Once he said that the girl officially left, not wanting to be associated with this man. "Wait." As the man was crying, the old geezer's gaze was on the girl's backside, drooling. He was about to chase until the man put a hand on his shoulder. The look on his eyes was on the verge of crazy. "Who are you? There is no way someone who is old as you would ruin my life for no reason, falsely accusing me of being those accursed wolf men." The man was shouting right on the old guy's beard. The old bastards were of course Master Roshi in his normal clothes, while the man was the man-wolf. I am Jackie-chan." Master Roshi did not know what he did, but he could tell this man was angry. And he really did not want to deal with it and just chase after girls. So he gave him his alias, one that he will hopefully forget. Once Master Roshi said so, he dashed off in the direction of the lady, leaving behind the man-wolf in the dust. "I will find you, Jackie-chan, until the ends of the earth, and I will be the one who ends you." Master Roshi already forgot about him as his voice faded away, focusing on the booty before him. End of the life-ending flashback. "I have been searching for years. That was my soulmate and he destroyed the only thing I had. There is no one else with the name of Jackie Chun, and that fake beard is not going to fool anyone. Everyone gasped at the implication. The scandal. The horror. Everyone turned to Jackie Chun, who was peeking over the temple wall. All eyes were trained on him, making him feel a little uneasy. Jackie sighed. The truth was the only way out. He just shrugged honestly with a comedic expression on his face. This only made Man Wolf even madder. You asterisk, at hash and, hash asterisk hash and carrot. Hash, asterisk hash percent carrot asterisk hash, carrot hash. I will destroy you after this. Slur after slur, the children's ears were covered from the profanity by their parents. You would applaud them for their quick reaction until you start to question why they were in a brutal fighting tournament in the first place. Sick and tired of Man Wolf's ranting, Yamcha unleashed his deadly technique on the wolf. Wolf Fang Fist. The barrage of claws came out of nowhere, dazing the poor wolf. Hit after hit, no matter how much Man Wolf wanted the pain to stop, it just kept coming. Until finally, Yamcha hit him with both claws, launching him out of the ring. And the true wolf belongs to Yamcha and his amazing technique. Yamcha only had a look of pity in his eyes as he looked at Man Wolf. He kind of reminded him of himself just 3 years ago. It brought a tear to his eye. For the next match, we have the infamous Jackie Chun coming in from the left corner. Despite the incredible accusation from Man Wolf, Jackie Chun stands up straight like the champion he is. From the right corner, we have the arch-rival of the famous Turtle School. From the Crane School it is Kyaotsa. If the Crane School is anything like the Turtle School, we are in for some spectacular fights. Let the second match begin. You come from such a prestigious school with a twisted master. Tell me, young one, why do you go there? I see. Kyaotsa said nothing, making Jackie Chun's sweat drop. Sighing, Jackie assumed his attacking position while Kyaotsa still stood there. Jackie started with a kick to the sternum. He just vanished from his original spot, surprising the young man. Only just a little though. The young man was able to block the incoming kick but was pushed back from the sheer power, making him open to new attacks. Seeing his opening, Jackie appeared above Kyaotsa, bringing down a fist that seemed to bring death upon his opponent. Just before the attack could hit, Kyaotsa accelerated backward from his position, making Jackie sink his fist on the ring. Everyone gasped as Kyaotsa flew above everyone. A unique technique of the Crane School. Just because you can freely fly in the air does not mean you are invincible. Jackie Chun started charging his Kamehameha while Kyaotsa still had a stoic expression on his face, confident he will dodge it. Kamehameha. Jackie started running towards Kyaotsa's position and jump up with extreme force with the Kamehameha wave. He launched a kick, making Kyaotsa dodge in a hurry. After he made him stumble in midair, Jackie launched his Kamehameha, making him fly even further up. Seeing that he could not dodge or counter, Kyaotsa put his hands in front of him in a desperate attempt to stop Jackie. Using his powers, he made Jackie get a stomach ache to force him to slightly move the Kamehameha up, barely grazing the pale martial artist. Touching the top of his head, he patted his head looking for something important. You made me bald. Missing his lone hair, Kyaotsa started to charge a blob of energy fueled by anger, if you couldn't already see the red shading on his skin. Doden Ray. The beam came out of his fingertip and flew straight towards Jackie. With no aerial mobility, Jackie could only block the incoming attack. The blast exploded, making a spectacular light show. Satisfied with the death that he inflicted upon the man that killed his most precious body part, Kyaotsa slowly floated down. Call the match, he is dead. Kyaotsa said in an emotionless tone. Are you sure? The announcer was sweating with fear as he looked up in the sky wishing for a miracle to happen. And that it did. You forgot someone, young one. Jackie-chan emerged from the black smoke and came out like a missile. Kyaotsa was flustered, freezing up a bit. He could faintly hear someone from the audience singing a song that made him want to cry. Free, free falling tilde. Those were the last words that he heard when he blacked out from the meteor punch that knocked him out. Looking back at the young man before him, he couldn't help but lament the fate of them and their teacher. Looking back at the audience, he saw the crane hermit's veins pop out with frustration as he looked at Roshi with eyes that practically spelled death. You old worthless pile of bones. You entered this tournament and destroyed one of my students. Explain yourself. The crane hermit sent the message telepathically into the turtle hermit's brain. Snorting, Roshi gave a curt reply that with contempt seeping into his reply. I don't need to explain yourself, you crazy dog. Maybe next time you should train your students more. Walking away, he went back to the temple to await his next fights. Just wait and see. If you had that much trouble with Kyaotsa, let me see you get beaten by my number one disciple Tien. With that last note, he ended the telepathic link abruptly. Although Roshi never once slowed his steps, he couldn't help but worry. Goku, let's see how far your training has got you. After that incredible fight with former world champion and the fresh leaf that is Kyaotsa of the Crane School. We have another monstrous fight as in the left corner, we have Tien, who is also from the Crane School. Elder disciple to Kyaotsa, his third eye allows him to see what normal people cannot. In the right corner, we have Goku. Second, only to the champion last tourney, he came back with an agenda to win the trophy from the old geezer. The two people on opposition glared at each other with a hint of disdain. A permanent smirk on Tien's face as he faces Goku despite his companion losing to Jackie just a few short moments ago. You know, you should surrender now, if you don't you will regret it. Tien started his tasteless trash talk once more. Like seriously, if you are trying to bring down your opponent with words, think of something new to say. I know I will regret it. Killing people is something I am not really fond of. Tien growled at Goku's response. Ready to dish out but can't receive. Sounds like a top to me. And not the good kind. Focusing up, this will be the hardest fight in the tourney for Goku. This fight will finally reveal the fruits of my labor. Everything I have been working for, this will be my first checkpoint. Tien are nothing more than a checkpoint in something greater. Let the third match begin. Now is the time. Both fighters had their pressure collide in the middle before their bodies moved. The shock wave sent the announcer back as everyone else felt a gust of wind. Filled with anticipation, the crowd cheered crazily when the two fighters leaped towards each other to begin their assault. The Triclops looked down at his opponent figuratively and literally. I mean, who else wouldn't underestimate a little kid that looked like he was 12? He launched a heavy drop kick towards Goku's head. Goku easily grabbed his legs with his small arms and spun incredibly fast to daze him. While he was rotating, Goku did a straight jab only for his fist to be encased by Tien's hand, forcing the latter to stop spinning. Tien then tried to twist Goku's arm by forcibly positioning his arm in an irregular way. He was then met with quick resistance, stopping him even though Goku was at the disadvantage position. What is this strength? My hold is getting reversed. Slowly but surely, Tien's hand was getting put in an awkward position, making his face contort in pain and sweat. Quickly thinking about a way to get out of his predicament, he jabbed his finger towards Goku's chest to force him to react and release an opening. Lo and behold, Goku gripped his finger so hard and sudden that his finger got dislocated, increasing Tien's pain by several fold. Wincing in pain, Tien couldn't hold back his grin that his plan worked. Before Goku could respond to Tien's strange behavior, Tien charged up energy within his finger, allowing the yellow lights to infiltrate the gaps between Goku's hands. Doden Ray. Tien's finger exploded, making both Tien and Goku recoil back from the explosion. Receiving a concentrated Doden Ray to his hand made his hand be charred black while leaving a stinging effect on it. Tien wasn't doing anything better. Doing such a risky move did leave some repercussions. His finger was also blackened while still broken. Gritting his teeth, Tien snapped his finger back in its original position before any lasting damage could occur. Fully standing up, Tien's face turned grim once he knew the shit he was in. You are one powerful foe, it was unwise to underestimate you. However, this is the end of the line for you. Tien raised both of his hands in a spread gesture and brought them up to his face. Solar flare. A blinding light erupted across the arena, making everyone cover their eyes in fear of losing them. Goku was able to efficiently cover them as he closed his eyes while also bringing his shirt to shield as well. However, one opening was enough and Tien took it. Flying over to him and, the Triclops gave the monkey a strong uppercut to the chest, launching him up. Goku flew up with rocketing speeds, yet Tien managed to catch up to him and flip around to kick Goku at an angle, bringing him back to the ground. The outer ring was approaching fast and Goku had to do something in order to not lose while Tien sneered triumphantly in the air. Although it was a risk, Goku finally unlocked a technique that he has been having trouble with until today, where he has seen some live samples. Mustering all the ki that he could, he sent it to the palm of his hands and feet. Injecting the invisible energy outwards in a light and graceful fashion to stabilize himself. Everyone was getting tenser and tenser, wondering what kind of trick will Goku pull off to save himself, while the martial art practitioners widened their eyes in wonder. Namely, Master Roshi and the Crane Hermit schools were the ones who recognized what Goku was trying to do first with the way he was manipulating the ki. There is no possible way he will be able to use that technique. If he can, he is no longer a monster but an anomaly that defies common sense. Master Roshi couldn't help but exclaim that out loud as everyone else turned to him. Yamcha and Krillin knew that Goku was up to something, but they didn't know what, so they turned to Jackie for some answers. However, Jackie ignored them in turn to watch Goku's antics. Meanwhile, Tien and Master Shan were communicating with their minds linked. That darn kid is trying to use our secret flying technique. Ha! I'd like to see his face when he plants himself on the floor like the monkey that he is. Tien didn't respond to Master Shan but just watched Goku intently. He didn't believe either, but Goku was no normal person. From his age to his enormous strength, the boy genius could pull this one off too. And Goku did not disappoint. Just before Goku face planted on the floor, his momentum started to decrease and decrease until he started to float with his face inches away from the floor. Everyone gasped as the two hermits had their eyes out of their sockets from the shock that they receive. Amazing, even I can't fly and yet he was learned in seconds. No no no. How can this be? I spent ages perfecting that technique and it was stolen so easily by this newborn brat. Unbelievable. Tien destroy him while he is still above the ring out. Goku, with his newfound propulsion, started to admire the effortlessly that he was able to exhibit once he cracked the code on the technique. After flying a bit, he went back to the platform to resume the fight. Tien was already there waiting for him without a stance. He flew down to meet Goku without interrupting his celebration in learning a new skill. "You rotten bastard, why didn't you attack when I told you to? You listening to me, you ungrateful swine? Kill him." There was an annoying fly in his ear, but he ignored it to talk to Goku. "You are one of the craziest people out there. However, most geniuses are crazy. I commend you for making me release my final move. One that even you will not survive." Everyone was just calming down from the excitement to process Tien's words. Is this really the end? Or is this going to be like the other times when he said it was the end? What is this final move? Thoughts were interrupted when a voice of a decrepit skeleton started to talk. "Tien, are you betraying me? I told you to kill that runt and you ignored me. This is treason and I won't accept that. I will kill that bastard myself." Shen started to climb the wall while Tien responded. I am done with your ways, Master Shen. I am grateful for what you taught me, but I don't want to be a hitman no more." Veins started to pop out of Shen's head when he heard those words. He did what any honorable man would do and did a preemptive strike. Doden Ray. Instead of targeting Goku as everyone thought, he aimed it at Tien in a fit of anger. Tien saw the attack coming and countered it with his own Doden Ray. The two beams of energy clashed, releasing sparks across the tawny ground, pushing everyone back. It looked like Tien was at an extreme advantage as he idly stood there with no sweat dripping as he pushed Shen's beam back. Panicking, Shen used his last trump card with great confidence. "Kyaotsa, use your power and disorientate him." Shen smiled until he realized that Kyaotsa was not providing support as he thought. When he looked to his side, he saw that Kyaotsa had a conflicted expression on his face. Conflicted? What was there to be conflicted about? One side is your master that has taught you all that you know versus a traitor to the school that deserves death. When Shen thought this, he got even angrier and shouted at Kyaotsa, surprising him out of his thoughts. "You pale little piece of *T. Did you not hear what I just told you? Use your power so I can kill that freak." Shen realized his mistake a little too late when Kyaotsa's face hardened at those words. Without remorse, Kyaotsa used his power to make Shen have a stomachache, weakening his Doden Ray. Trapped between two ends, he mustered a half-baked ki cluster to serve as a shield right before Tien's Doden Ray impacted him. The Doden Ray exploded, creating cuts and bruises all over Shen's body, injuring him brutally. Fortunately for him, his makeshift shield absorbed some of the impact, allowing him to survive. There was an eerie silence that felt like it stretched on forever. They dared the other to speak first until Shen could not take it anymore and cursed his former students. "Why, you ungrateful traitors, I will come back and get you for this. Mark my words." He then started to stumble off to the entrance to make his leave. Kyaotsa, knowing that he was a potential threat, moved in for the kill until Tien stopped him. "Don't. He taught us, that is worth something. We are now even." Shen's steps didn't falter, nor did you even make a sound of appreciation as he walked past their field of view. Just as they were about to get on with their fight, they heard a sound from beyond the entrance. Crash! "Hey, you bastard! You can't just walk in the middle of the road like that. You better have insurance, bub, before I pound the money out of ya." "Hey boys! I think this one is deaf. Show him how the beating people up club operates. You are one nice dude under everything." Tien only smirked at Goku patronization before he slowly started to rise in the air. Going up meters in height, Tien had a view of the entire event while Goku stayed on top of the arena. Promptly ignoring the sight of Shen getting practically beaten to death, he raised his interlinking hands together to make a finger pistol gesture. Copious amount of ki surged forward to his hands and he separated them, making a bright yellow mass of energy stretch from his hands. Goku didn't have any confidence that he could stop the attack at his current state and really did not want to wait until the arena is made again before going on to the next battle. Guess I will have to use this move that I have been training for the past 3 years. It isn't really complete and doesn't have enormous firepower, so I will have to use my full strength. While everyone was focused on Tien, besides the few keen eyes that were able to detect Goku's movements, he subtly lifted his shirt to reveal a blue belt buckle that had some writing on it. A white X3 was revealed, making everyone who knew what it was wipe their eyes in disbelief. Pressing a button on the screen, the white X3 vanished and turned into an X1 instead. Releasing his shirt, he got into a neutral stance. Taking a deep breath and closing his eyes, he did the first motion of the Kamehameha that made his wrist connect in front of him. New technique. Isn't this just a Kamehameha? Roshi was watching Goku with all of his attention once he heard of a new technique that he made. Or was he just pranking? What he did next shocked the old geezer to his core. Instead of moving his hands diagonally to his side, a cyan-colored ball appeared in contrast to a blue one that appeared on his hands. He moved his hands vertically away from each other, stretching out the energy ball much like how Tien did. Tien saw Goku's move but did not react too much to it and proceeded with his movements. He clasped his hands together in a triangle shape, leaving an opening to concentrate with. Finally being able to release all of his pent-up ki, he shouted the words that would destroy anything in its way. Tribeam. A burst of blue ki launched out of Tien's hands, forming a rhombus shape to obliterate the area before it. It was at this time Goku opened his eyes to look up and counter his technique. Spiraling tornado. Goku spun his arms around in a circle while slowing, pushing forward. Just before his arms would lock and couldn't spin anymore, he did one last push to propel the movement forward. What came out was like a Kamehameha, but was spin in Tien's direction in wide circles. Not like a spring, but a tornado growing bigger and bigger the more distance it moves away from the source. Winds suddenly started to get sucked into the tornado from the extreme rotation, making everyone hold on to their loose belongings. Goku, with the little experience he has had in making new techniques, used the Kamehameha as a template to create a widespread attack representing a tornado. What it lacked in raw firepower it made up with coverage and hindrance. Both attacks collided. The sides of the rhombus and the edges of the tornado grinded on each other, contesting for superiority. However, what the tornado had and the tribeam didn't was the constant supply of energy. With one last burst, Goku pumped his remaining ki to force the tornado to grow and swallow the tribeam into its eye, dissipating all the energy and recycling it to increase the wind pressure. What? Impossible. The tornado sucked Tien, making him lose all control over his body as he spun around in circles. Using the last dregs of his strength, he unwrapped his arms onto its original position. In response, the tornado and the wind died down, only for the swirling energy to encompass Tien with only his head sticking out. Goku immediately loosened his muscles from all the tension and let them drop to his sides. When Tien saw this, he started to struggle to get out, but the tightly coiled energy remained firmly wrapped around his body, making him look like he was in a cocoon. Picking him up, Goku threw him up in the air, letting him rest there for a bit. Tien slowly started to fall the floor head first. When he was leveled with Goku's head, the last thing he saw was the small smile that was etched on his face before Goku punched him to the bottom of the stands. He didn't go peacefully, however, as when TN started to pick up speed, the coils around him started to once again spin him at rapid speeds as they fell off. Crashing at the floor, dirt actually started to fly everywhere, landing on a couple of people. A blue-haired girl, in particular, did not like dirt, as she said, "I just bought these clothes and now there is dirt everywhere, puh, Ithin Mamorth. I can change into a handkerchief if you want." POW. Pua looked down at the large bump on Oolong's face that went with the rest of his pain-filled face. He only had one word to say. Simp. Once the dust settled, a pair of legs were revealed as the rest of the man was drilled down on the ground. Everyone was speechless for a couple of seconds as they felt pity for the deflated legs that were on the ground. And we have a winner, Goku. Goku was currently sitting in the back resting his injuries while the next round starts. The last move that he did really wore him out. For all intents and purposes, it was not ready yet, but it did the job. Krillin's and Put-Put's match had just started in the background if the loud cheering wasn't enough of an indicator. Any competent martial artist would know who would win, so Goku really didn't pay attention and closed his eyes. His rest didn't last very long when he heard some footsteps approach him. Opening his eyes, he came face to face with Jackie Chan. He was still over. "That was a very interesting technique you did, can you explain it to me a bit? I am very intrigued because I have seen never it from the Turtle School before. Did you create it yourself?" Jackie tried his best to act nonchalant about his questioning, but he was secretly euphoric with joy and anticipation. A student of his created a new move that was able to counter one of the strongest techniques currently. He couldn't help but feel proud. Proud of himself. "I trained that guy." "Oh, you are in love with him? Well, guess who trained him, babe?" As Jackie was ogling the girl in his daydream, Goku smirked a little, deciding to mess with the old coot for a little. "Why would I tell you? If you win your rounds, then I will have to fight you in the future. I won't just tell you about my greatest move in case you use it against me." "What are you, slow?" Roshi opened his mouth and closed it several times. That sentence at the end obviously had a double meaning, but that couldn't be it. There is no way that he would know that he was actually Master Roshi. He was so tempted to ask him if he knew, or just straight up tell him and get it over with. Saved by the bell as the fight in the stadium came to a closing. Krillin won by a landslide, but just humored his opponent by letting him show his moves. And the winner is Krillin from the Turtle School. This concludes the first round of battles and we are moving on to the semi-finals. The next match will be the old monster Jackie Chan versus the handsome bandit of the desert Yamcha. Jackie reluctantly went up to the stage when his voice was called out. In the end, he didn't reveal his identity, although he felt that Goku knew somehow. The two fighters went to their respective spots and got into their starting positions. Jackie felt at this point the tournament was kinda pointless for him to stay. Krillin and Yamcha have gone far beyond his expectations, let alone Goku, who has surpassed all odds. "You may be the last Tony's champion, but I will show you the fruit of my training under Master Roshi. He even told me that I was probably even a step above him." At this point, he was just rubbing his nose to remove the *T that was leaking out of it. "No. I cannot leave this guy get into the finals. All would be lost in the world if he does." It was sufficient to say that it did not take him too long to beat Yamcha's Skirokit ego down a peg, or two, or all of them. At this rate you could only feel bad for the guy, he only wants to win at something in his life. No mercy in temperament as such in the beating that Jackie was giving the poor man. Jackie W wins and moves on to the finals. For the next match, the original rivals have come to meet from the Turtle School, Krillin vs Goku. Let's see who the superior turtle is. Although we probably already know. Krillin scowled at the last comment that the announcer made, even if it was just a whisper. Krillin didn't need another reminder to tell him that he is weaker than Goku. He knew that just fine and has accepted that considering his current performance. It doesn't make it easier for the young man to swallow if he had to be reminded. Let the match begin. Krillin did a fierce assault immediately. If he was going down, he was going to go down with a fight. No one wanted to be humiliated like Yamcha was last round. He did a two-prong attack by going so fast that both of his attacks hit in unison. Goku used one hand to block both by going at a faster speed and judo slammed the poor monk onto the floor. Quickly recovering, he reached with his legs to wrap around Goku's body to lock him in place. Goku jumped in response and plundered straight down to the floor. Krillin's head was bounded to land first with the way they were positioned, so he tried to loosen up and reposition. This time, however, Goku reversed it and locked Krillin into place by entrapping him with his tail. Krillin had the actual lock and advantage in position, but with Goku's superior strength, he stood still like a statue. Who knew having an extra appendage would actually be useful? Krillin's bowling ball planting in the middle of the stage, creating spider web extending to the edges. Goku finally released his friend and pried him out of the floor. Once he pulled out the unconscious midget, it was like he pulled out a tight piece on a Jenga tower. The stadium's pieces all fell down without its anchor and landed on the edges with dust scattering everywhere. The winner of this match of turtles goes to Goku. Unsurprisingly, Krillin was still unconscious on the floor, but when the announcer said that last word, a stream of blood originated from Krillin's non-existent nose. The final match of the 22nd World Martial Tournament. Reminisce of the last tournament, we have a cold blood duel of two of the strongest in the world. Will Goku, who was defeated the last tournament, redeem himself and achieve vengeance, or will Jackie retain his title and beat down all that oppose him as he stands atop the mountain of strength? Let the match begin. After the dramatic opening, Goku and Jackie started to have a casual conversation. You have grown tremendously, boy. I'll say you have the most potential this world has ever seen. I might even say that with your advent, something or one will need your skill for the greater good. All I hear is talk, old man. You may have won last time, but I have been training arduously for years for this. Truly. I don't believe to win this, but I will try and bring out more of your potential. You do know that with all this time you are wasting, I am recovering my ki from my last 2 matches, right? Jackie knew that. Of course, he did. Just because he panicked immediately didn't mean anything. Jackie did a normal approach and sped right in front of Goku. Standing in front of Goku, he planted his feet and did a blur of punches. All aiming at the focal points of a human's body, weak points. He tracked Goku whenever he moved and tried to keep up with him. This workout produced some sweat dodging the flurry of punches, but nothing too bad. Making it more training for his body, he secretly put a hand through his GI and turned the gravity belt up a little. From 2 to 3. Jackie felt extremely aggravated to see that Goku was easily dodging his punches. He finally reacted and kicked his foot high in the air. Jackie put a firm defense in front of his head to block the kick, but instead of a head injury, he left with a leg injury. The kick was only a feint and changed his momentum to kick at his thigh. The old-timer couldn't stand anymore from the weight of the kick. Most of it attributed 3x gravity that was applied to his body, making the kick feel extra heavy. Nursing his wounds with both of his hands, he felt like he was a little child in front of his parent after doing something bad. Just 3 years ago they were on somewhat equal grounds, and now this 16-year-old teenager can practically kill him whenever he wanted. What a world! To salvage his reputation and pride, he resorted to his last option. Look! Tien is back up and is calling you. Goku turned to look back towards the fighters' stands. He only saw Krillin, Yamcha, and Kyoutsu staring back at him. Before he could tense up for the attack, he heard Jackie talk. I give up. He was already off stage by the time anyone could react. Roshi, by giving up, kept the little pride that he had by not having his own student hand his *S to him. Everyone knew that had happened and only had one word to describe this kind of behavior. Shameless. Super sorry for late chapter, more in author's thoughts. The tournament was coming into an official close with the greatest fight that has ever gone on stage appearing early in the matches. The spectators were no doubt disappointed in following fights that were less visually exciting. The Dragon crew all gathered to the front of the tournament grounds with Tien and Kyoutsu in tow to talk to them. Everyone all huddled up to Goku to congratulate him on his fantastic win. Goku, congrats! That fight of yours had me on my toes. Yeah, who knew how strong you would have gotten within those 3 years? I guess that really has to do something with my invention, doesn't it? Everyone ignored Bulma tooting her own horn no matter how true it was. Yeah, I got really strong over those 3 years thanks to increase in gravity. You guys should try to do some gravity training too. You will really get stronger faster. Maybe I should add that to the turtle school training. It would fit quite snugly. Master Roshi, Kyoutsu and I humbly ask if you will become our master. Everyone was in a circle chatting happily about the last 3 years until Goku saw smoke coming from the tournament's main building. Knowing what the smoke was about, Goku started heading towards it in large strides. It wasn't long until someone saw Goku leave the huddle and consequentially see the smoke. No words were exchanged when people started to head towards it to see what the commotion was. Entering through the front gate, the first thing that came into vision was the announcer guy with his back against the wall and legs twisted in abnormal angles. He was unconscious, likely from the pain from his legs. Advancing to the announcer's position, he was holding a note on his hand with some blood on the bottom of it. Goku walked up and grabbed the piece of paper and held it before his face. Tony List. The writing was poor and crooked, but the message was conveyed. By this time, the rest of the crew filed and saw the situation. While everyone was crowding around the message, Master Roshi diverted from the norm and went to the center of the room where there was another piece of a paper by its lonesome. When he picked it up, his face changed from suspicion to horrified. It can't be. Instantly, everyone's attention turned towards Roshi and looked at the strange paper that he was holding. Bulma was the one to speak up on Roshi's strange reaction. What's with you, old pervert? All it is a devil symbol with a circle in the middle. For all we know, it could some random zoomer or something pulling a prank. Roshi completely refuted Bulma's attempt at trying to be witty with a grim statement. No. This is something far worse than a zoomer. This is the crest of the Devil Emperor. Piccolo. Piccolo. What does he kill us with a horrible high-pitched screech? Sounds like a pansy to me. Oh, Along tried to make light of the situation. As usual, no one paid attention to the side character, nay, background character. I've heard of this devil Emperor Piccolo before. He once submerged the world in flames a long time ago with his iron fist. Yes, long ago, my master fought him along with me and Shen. Even with all of our power combined, we couldn't defeat him. So my master sealed him inside a jar and I tossed him in the bottom of the ocean. There shouldn't be a way for him to return after my master used his life to stop his tyranny. So are we able to stop him? Krillin was literally shivering in fear. We aren't powerful enough, but we have two choices. The Dragon Balls and... Roshi turned to Goku with a complicated expression. You, Goku. You have far exceeded my expectation and our only hope with the power you possess. I learned this from my master Krillin, and I think with your lineage, you might be able to acquire it. What is this thing that you want Goku to get? It sounds like it will hurt him. She started to get a really bad feeling from this situation. Roshi and Goku stared at for a second. Roshi nodded and Goku got the message. He went through the front door but not before hauling the announcer over his shoulder. Calling his flying Nimbus, he jumped up and grabbed onto the edge before blasting off. Everyone rushed towards him to see what he was doing. All they got was a glimpse of his tail and a yellow trail to boot. Bulma waited no time and stomped back to Roshi to demand answers. Grabbing him by the shirt, it didn't matter if he was the greatest martial artist in the world or Usain Bolt, he wasn't going to escape. What did you send him to do? You wrinkly old bastard, if you don't tell right now you'll not be able to see women the same anymore when you become one. Roshi didn't flinch nor retaliate, only stating facts. He is our only hope if a wish-granting dragon doesn't work. We can always wish him back with that same reality-bending power. Tears started to well up in her eyes at the implication. She stormed off while speed dialing someone. Right when she entered the sidewalk, a helicopter came in from out of nowhere and picked her up into the sunset. Now everyone there turned to Master Roshi demanding answers. All he could say was, "If you truly are a martial artist, you have to take risks for the greater good." Flying to Kurin's tower, this is one of the things that Goku has been most apprehensive about. He was literally on his way to drink poison to get stronger. Sounds like something an alcoholic would say. This year was his official year that he has lived as long as his previous life. Soon it would even feel like his previous life was just a strange dream. Shaking his head, he saw Kurin's tower in the distance and landed on the balcony bidding farewell to his little cloud. Kurin was just sleeping as all cats do until he heard a loud stomp on his tower. Going outside to give the intruder a piece of his mind, he saw a familiar face greet his all-day nap. "Goku. What are you doing here?" "Master Roshi sent me, to increase my strength. He said with my body, I should be able to handle it." Kurin wrinkled his brows. If it was what he is thinking of, this was a serious situation, especially if Roshi sent him. Looking into his mind, he absorbed the entire conversation that occurred moments ago and understood the severity of the situation. Goku placed the announcer on a wall while Kurin left. He went to the back of the room and grabbed a teapot and cup to prepare to give Goku the worst pain in his life. Going back to the main room, Kurin could feel Goku's shivers when his eyes laid on the pot. "You do know that this is heart-wrenching poison. The worst pain you will ever experience is from this ultra-sacred water." "Yeah, I know." Giving him a cup, the only light in his eyes was of pity. "What is with the other guy, by the way? He seems kinda there dead if it weren't for his breathing." Once Kurin reminded Goku of the guy with the broken legs, he got an idea. "Karin, give me some senzu beans. Now, quick." Grumbling while going to one of his pots, he reached down and grabbed some beans. Kids these days with no respect. Grabbing one bean, he crushed it with his hands into a paste and force-fed the announcer the green miracle. Suddenly, his legs started to revert back to their original position. Cracks could be heard until he was fully restored to normal position. Karin's eyes rocketed out of his eyes at the display. He knew that it could heal simple cuts, but broken legs are another story. Taking a deep breath, he pinched his nose and downed the drink. Before the pain could start, he started chewing on a senzu bean at the same time. Saying that the experience was painful was the understatement of the year, and no amount of healing could help that. The original purpose of the sacred water was to dig deep into your body to find your potential and unlock it. Only those with extremely durable bodies could take the strain of the process and live to see another day. The senzu bean was not helping at all with reducing the pain and arguably increasing it. Instead of leaving a destructive path in its wake for the body to heal slowly later, the senzu bean is forcing the body to heal, giving Goku a brief moment of respite before it attacks him again. It's like experiencing scorching hot water only for it to be cooled down before scorching yourself again every second. Continuous pain is much more wanted. While Goku was going through a very painful process to get stronger, the rest of the crew void Bulma headed off to the Dragon Balls. Bulma had the foresight to pass the Shishi the Dragon radar indicating for her to get the Dragon Balls back at Capsule Corps. This was the only reason why she also didn't run off with Bulma to check on Goku. She had to keep Planner afloat. They all flew back in a mini-jet that Bulma had called for them. The helicopter was already closed to the island, letting her take a quick departure while the jet took half an hour. Scrambling in, they couldn't help feeling anxious about the up-and-coming events and Goku's safety. Master Roshi, in particular, had an incredible amount of lumps on his head when he told the truth of what Goku was getting himself into. The minijet was fast getting crew from the island to Capsule Corps. When it came into view, smoke was being emitted from a giant hole on the side of the building. Another break-in. You would think that there would be better countermeasures at this point. They parked the jet right next to it, and Shishi was followed by the rest to see what had happened. Standing there above Dr. Briefs and a steel suitcase was a green monster with wings sprouted behind his back. Luckily, Dr. Briefs didn't look too hurt when they arrived, attracting the monster's attention. "Look at who we have here, more worthless humans who have stopped my amusement." Briefs stood up and slowly backed away, but Tambourine didn't pay any more attention to the weakling. Although their power was weaker than his, he felt some semblance of a threat. "Let's see if you can provide me with some form of amusement to make up for it." Bulma's helicopter pilot saw a huge tower in the distance. "Miss Briefs, is that the one?" Looking up in the huge tower, she could really only say one thing. "It better be. Is this Piccolo?" All of the vulnerable people stayed behind, letting the fighters take the floor. Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, Shayatsa, and Roshi circled the smirking demon. "This isn't what I remember him looking like. This is most likely a minion of his. Even if it is his minion, you mustn't underestimate the might that he carries. We won't lose to his pet." They were raring to go. To make sure that this demon won't rule the world, they were willing to sacrifice their life. "You seem like you know about me and my master. I will grace your death with his honor. Be grateful." With that, he made his way to his first target, which was Yamcha. He observed them for a little and was able to locate the weak link in the pack. Yamcha was ready for him, not risking his life for a second. Wolf Fang Fist, his signature move, was aimed at the condescending grin. He didn't get far until the monster fist was lodged into his gut. He was standing over Yamcha in a very relaxed position. Raising his claws to impale his back, he was stopped barely by an invisible force. Looking over in the direction that it was coming from, a flying psychic was closing his eyes in concentration. Veins were sprouting from his head from the strain. Before he could think of a counter-attack, he was launched from an impact to the side of his head. Flying through the building, he tried to stabilize himself with his wings before Krillin and Roshi finished the combo that Tien set for them by hitting Tamborine's back at the same time. He crashed into the sturdy wall with dust flying everywhere. Tien spat in the direction of the demon to taunt it. "You don't seem too tough, with all of us here you will meet your doom." Tamborine grunted in response. Tien was no doubt his biggest threat, but if he could just isolate him by quickly killing the others, then he might have a chance. Going to the second weakest link, Krillin, he already had Kyoutsu and Roshi backing him up after they realized the monster's strategy. Pinched between a rock and a hard place, he didn't know what else to do. "You strong martial artists don't have to kill me. We have reformed from our evil ways, I promise." They offered us a cake to join the good side and we accepted. The cake is a lie. Don't listen to him, he needs to be terminated before he can bring doom to us all. The 5 fighters started to charge their beam techniques in order to ensure the demon's demise, not caring at all about the damage that it will entail to the infrastructure. Bulma was rich after all. Sweat started to pour down his face when he felt the disturbance and abundance of ki that was being gathered. He put a hand out for each group that was aiming at him and pushed out his own ki to give him time to save himself. Kamehameha. Doden Ray. Beams clashed, but it was foreseeable who would win. The combined beams were right upon the demon's hands, ready to erase him into ash. "You will not be able to stop the advent of my master." With that, the beams collided and exploded with its prey in the middle. Overkill was not in the dictionary for these people, as one misstep could very well lead to world domination. Dash. "This is the end of the line, miss. We can't go any higher, the altitude is too high for this helicopter." "Damn it. How long is this tower?" They were climbing in altitude for so long and they have yet to see the top. Bulma pulled out the hoverbike that she had stored in the back of the helicopter and flew out the opening. Bulma upgraded the bike to keep up with the flying Nimbus. It was able to stick to the pole and slowly ascend. This was the reason why she didn't bring it out in the first place. Dash. Herc. EEP. There was a green ugly monster sitting on a throne inside of a flying airship. He was incredibly wrinkly from age, making him look like a prune. The idiot trio was below next to his feet. When he started to act strangely, they yelled in surprise and probably peed themselves at the sudden noise. There was a tridactyl-type monster being annoying with its high-pitched voice. It was a wonder why he was still there, serving no use. "Master, what happened?" "Tamborine has perished." "Who could have killed him?" I knew it. It is probably that Goku kid who could have possibly be strong enough to kill him. That is why all the Dragon Balls are already collected except for one. Goku ha! Set the course to those Dragon Balls. I shall terminate this Goku once and for all before he becomes a problem to my regime. "No problem, sir." Pilaf, the person who wanted to have some sort of power so bad that he lowered himself to be someone else's by *tch, ran to the terminal and charted a course to Capsule Corporation. Dash. It didn't take too much longer for Bulma to reach the top. After driving for an hour, she finally saw a huge building on top of the tower and got excited that her trip was finally coming to an end. Seeing that there was no way for her to actually bring the bike with her, she jumped off and let the bike fly down without its owner. Climbing up, she proceeded forward and up the stairs to the balcony. It was there that she suddenly face to face with a frizzly cat and cane. Meow. Although Goku told her about his adventure to Karin's tower, he never actually said that Karin could talk. I can talk, you stupid human. Seeing the angry cat fuss over practically nothing was amusing to watch. Totally worth it. Calming down a little bit, Karin peered into Bulma's mind as she was trying to search for something. Seeing her intention and the way that she traveled her made him understand her transparent urgency. Karin pointed toward a room that was adjacent to the main building and spoke to the distressed girl. What you seek is over there. Heading over, she entered the room to see two beds. One had the announcer that Goku took for some reason. He was sitting on his bed looking over at Goku, who was sweating a flood on his bed with occasional whimpers. Bulma didn't even notice that the announcer's legs were magically fixed and headed over to Goku. Goku. The announcer was startled at the young girl's arrival but kept quiet about the matter after seeing her concern. He has been in this state for at least several hours. Apparently, I was saved by him after my legs were broken from that demon. When I awakened, he was already like this. Bulma finally noticed the notable side character with his healed legs. What kind of science is this? Your legs were broken just earlier today. There was no science on Earth currently that was able to heal broken legs in hours like so. From what I am told, apparently it's not science, but magic. Master Karin told me that Goku gave me one of his green beans and I was able to heal my injuries. They had just found out about it and gave it to me to save my legs. A bean that is able to heal injuries. This is life-changing. Wait, why don't you give it Goku then? Don't you see he is in all this pain? What is causing it? Bulma was talking so fast it was hard to keep track of her words. The announcer got flustered at all the questioning but was luckily saved by Karin. He is experiencing the ultra-divine water. The liquid is extremely poisonous, but if you are able to survive the trial then you will receive a great boost in strength. He himself dosed himself with a senzu bean and it did not work too well. In fact, it made his pain intense in the beginning and mild in the middle. Nothing can stop the trial set by the water. Bulma stared at Goku's pained expression with her own. It was torturous to see him experiencing hardship without her being able to do anything about it. She was in for a surprise as that was the exact moment that he suddenly opened, making her jump. Whack. Dash. Goku, unfortunately, woke up from his nightmarish hell with a headache and bump to boot. Not letting the annoyed Bulma and scared announcer get his mood down, he was feeling stronger than ever. Even with his gravity training, the water still boosted his strength tremendously. No pain, no gain. Let's hurry, Goku, the others went for the Dragon Balls at my house. We need to rendezvous and come up with a plan. Did you say Dragon Balls? Yes. At your house? Why yes. But that is not the point. Why didn't you tell me? Goku rushed out with the announcer and Bulma on each hand. Jumping off the platform, he called out for his trusty ride. Flying Nimbus. The little cloud swooped them off their feet, this the two that was dragged to be dangled from the side. Goku, that hurt. Why did you do that? I just wanted the Dragon Balls to be a secret, I wasn't going to wish for anything that important. You are. Those are wish-granting mystical balls that have been around for centuries. Piccolo could have known about them and could be on his way to them right now. Everyone is in danger. Ah, shit. Dash. Well, that was easier than I thought. Yamcha was looking over the ash in the middle of the room as everyone helped Dr. Briefs and his robots fix his house. Krillin opened the suitcase to find 6 dazzling Dragon Balls neatly placed in their respective holder. There was only one missing, which was Goku's final ball. They were after the Dragon Balls. This is bad, they know about the power that it holds. Wait, how did they know that they were here? Krillin turned to Shishi, who was looking no less than guilty that the revelation that they were collecting the Dragon Balls was out. Her and Bulma were only supposed to make the wish pretend they never had them in the first place. No matter how stupid their wish was. Well, Bulma and I were collecting them. I don't know why they knew where they were. Bulma has the Dragon Ball radar with her right now. Radar. The only other people that have a radar are the RR army, but they went extinct and Pilaf is too incompetent to have Piccolo as a minion. Wait, that doesn't matter, the fact that they have a radar makes this place a target. We have to leave this place before it gets blasted into oblivion. Finally, that cue ball was worth something as he snapped everyone to become more alert. They all said bye to Dr. Briefs after fixing his house and boarded the jet to bring the fight somewhere else. Taking off into the sky, they plotted their course for the final battle. We can go to the Diablo Desert. It is pretty deserted if you catch my drift. Before anyone could laugh, cringe, at his joke, the jet rocketed out of control. Tien tried to bring it back to his control with his totally expert flying capabilities. The ship went crashing down in minutes. Everyone crawled out of the wreck that was lodged into the middle of the street. Cars were honking and pedestrians were scattering. Everyone at the same time looked up when a shadow loomed over them. A giant ship that loomed over them like there were ants. The pressure alone spelled doom in all caps. A big airship with the word Pilaf sewed across the length of it to really show who it belonged to. Piccolo flew down from the balcony of a ship with his cape fluttering behind him, as majestic as possible considering the circumstances. The Z fighters were as ready as they could be to face the Demon King. Chaos was ensuing around them, but it did not take their eyes away from the descending doomsday. Well, look who we have here. A bunch of humans who think they could defy their emperor. I won't be denied my birthright like last time. We will stop you, again and again, no matter how many times it takes. They were standing in front of the old emperor in a line. The terror that was going around them was just a sample of what was to come if they didn't stop this emotionless creature. The waves of power that rolled off of him weren't one of extreme power but extreme evil integrated with it. Master Roshi did not have his hopes up, he couldn't execute his trusty technique, so all he could put his hopes in was this fight or that Goku would hurry up. Let's start the massacre. Piccolo took off, breaking the ground completely under his feet to his standing opposition. Krillin and Yamcha bolted to intercept him while Tien and Kyuitsu flew up above them. The contrast of strength was apparent from the get-go. Krillin threw a punch at Piccolo's ugly mug, but his short arms didn't go far before it was stopped. Piccolo snapped Krillin's foot with just one sweep to it and finished him off with a clean punch to the face, making him crash into an abandoned car. Yamcha tried his best to support his friend with his wolf fang fist, but everything was either dodged or half-heartedly blocked by wrists. He defeated the bandit easily by grabbing his face and slammed it on the road. Yamcha has gone limp instantly after shoving his face full of asphalt. Piccolo was still kneeling down when a blast came from above. Looking up, he saw two frightened fighters pointing their finger with smoke coming out of them. The blast was actually a combined assault from both of their Doden rays. His back was now smoking profusely, but he paid no mind. Throwing his cape away that had a hole in it, he felt freer to beat up these worthless insects to submission. Preparing to yoink the two from the air, he was suddenly smashed in the face in what felt like an airplane on steroids. Wiping a little dirt off his face, he looked up from the inside of a shadow to see an extremely buff Roshi towering over him. Not wasting any time, Roshi kept the chase on while Tien and Kyaotsu could come up with a plan. Kyaotsu, you distract him on my signal. It doesn't have to be long but enough to hold him in place. Tien had a serious expression plastered on his face after overlooking the battlefield. Krillin and Yamcha were instantly defeated while Roshi is barely holding on with his superior strength. You don't mean? With a shocked face, Kyaotsu reluctantly agreed after figuring out what Tien's plan was. Closing his eyes, he focused all his ki into his hands. Bringing them together, the large amount that he is forcing in the open was making him woozy. He never really got a real rest from the tourney to the battle, so he didn't fully recover his ki. His eyes were getting blurry, but he pressed on because he knew if he didn't, his life would end anyways. Pulling his hands apart, the electrifying ki sparked in front of him to execute his final move. He was about to make the hand gesture and signal Kyaotsu before he saw a 10-ton hunk of meat whirl his way to him. He couldn't move out of the way because he was in the middle of the process while Kyaotsu's telekinesis was too weak to move him. When Roshi crashed into Tien, his hands lost control of the ki stream and consequently, blew up in their faces. With that, Roshi and Tien plummeted to the ground, leaving a shocked Kyaotsu to fend for himself. That last man gave me a fright, but I guess his speed was so slow or he was just too old to keep up with me. Poor humans and your limited time on this planet, I will rule it for eternity in your stead. Stopping himself from looking at his defeated friends, he looked in front of him where the voice was coming from to see Piccolo staring right back. Kyaotsu didn't have time to scream as Piccolo grabbed him by the neck and slowly floated down. You will never defeat me. After I attain all the Dragon Balls, I will rule this world and drive it to the right path, anarchy. Theft, murder, ***** are all going to be on my good list, and if you do all three, I might even spare when I want to randomly kill someone. You and your weak friends had a good run, but with the death of all these people, no one will be strong enough to oppose me. Some people stayed behind to witness the large spectacle with a respectable distance. They were quaking in their boots and some were weeping. There was a young boy, of course, using his iPhone and recorded the whole evil villain spiel and footage to the epic battle with the hero's defeat. No one could move, out of fear and the dread of what was to come. Kyaotsu was struggling to breathe as his windpipe was slowly being crushed. He got ready for the final act. I mean, if you are going to go out, do it with a bang. Literally. His body started to glow, but all that incited from the demon was more amusement coupled with a faster constricting grasp. Kyaotsu couldn't take it anymore and black out from the pain and shock. It was only a matter of time before he was going to close his eyes forever. Bonk! A loud clap of metal resonated from behind the back of Piccolo. Looking at it, there was a metal boomerang sort of thing that tried but failed to penetrate his skin. Dropping the small pale fighter like a sack of potatoes, he fully turned around the sea-determined girl. She witnessed the whole fight and waited for the perfect time to buy more time. She knew that he really couldn't help the whole situation, but if she could buy more time for a certain someone to arrive and save the day, then that was worth her life. Slowly walking over to the girl, you can see the fear deeply rooted in her eyes that Piccolo fed on. Smiling evilly at the girl, he knew that just killing her would be such a waste. Reaching his hand at the still girl that shut her eyes, he was almost able to touch her face before a hand reached out and held his wrist. It was small, like a kid's hand, but the grip was strong enough to gain his attention. Piccolo tried to pull back and get a closer look at the presumptuous person that dared touch him, but he couldn't move an inch. Not feeling the touch that was supposed to come, she opened her eyes to see something that made everything in this world feel right again. Looks like I came at just the right time. With that opening line, he jerked his hand away, taking Piccolo with it. His whole body was suddenly pressed into the asphalt, making an indentation of a perfect snow demon. She was so overcome with emotion that she didn't even notice the footsteps that were approaching from behind her. Bulma put a hand on Shi's shoulder, glad that they made it in time with Goku's intuition. Feeling the warm hand, she instantly knew it was Bulma and hugged her as tight as she could. Bulma tried to comfort her, but we all know how that would go, so she just opted to hug back. Looking at the destruction before her, she noticed the down fighters that practically looked like they were dead. Whispering into her ear, Bulma had to before it is too late. We have to help them. After fully riding her emotions and calming them down, she looked up from her comfort shoulder to remember that those guys were just a step from death. Working with some robots, they all hauled the wounded fighters to the Capsule Corp building to at least make sure they don't die. When they did that, they left a particular blonde man that stood out in the crowd with his clean black suit and greasy hair. Not knowing what to do in this situation, he saw the kid with the phone and did what he did best. It was like a yell from the dark abyss when the snow demon produced an ear-splitting sound. Jumping up, Piccolo freed himself from the ground and Goku's hand at the same time. Why you? Who are you? This was the first time the Demon King displayed fear. Goku didn't just slam him into the ground but also broke his hand with it like he was handling a toy. Piccolo's entire back was on fire from the pain and he used nearly all of his ki to stabilize it and jump back out. The name is Goku. Son Goku. It was the perfect timing as well. Wind blowing, ruffling his hair as mysterious music suddenly made him even more badass. Whoa! Everyone was speechless at the sudden turn of events. From total desperation to guaranteed salvation. This is Son Goku, ladies and gentlemen, the world's strongest fighter that defeated the Demon King. The announcer was talking to the small phone like it was a microphone. His voice sounded tired and raspy, but it still has the strong intent that was laced with every word said. HMPH, this isn't over, Son Goku. I might not have my revenge, but it will come back to you. Gurgling an egg from his throat, his legs started to crumble and visibly turn to ash. All this did was making the egg's veins glow red with power. The ash crept his way up at the same pace as the egg was emerging out of the throat. Before it could reach the throat, the egg was fully out. He uted the egg like a cannon while saying one last thing to his son. Avenge me, my son. And with that, the Demon King Piccolo vanished with the wind. Goku wanted Piccolo to be born as he knew him in the OG, but this was something different. He would have honestly done nothing when the Demon King produced Junior, but he was actually standing still because he was shell-shocked. Goku felt the ki and life energy inside Piccolo slowly deplete into the little egg that he created with all his heart. It was no doubt that this Piccolo would stronger than the original, since his dad wasn't on the verge of death this time and put everything into the egg. No matter, he still shouldn't be a threat. He headed towards the partially crumpled capsule corp under the watchful eyes of everyone present. Making his way to the lab, he saw Bulma and her dad work furiously to stabilize everyone's health while Shi helped around. All of them were barely alive but alive nonetheless. That means that they will eventually recover with a little help from a certain bean. Hey guys, do you need any help? The two girls left the guys that were mostly on the right path to go up to Goku and ask about the situation. How are you? Did you defeat him? They had both seen the strength Goku obtained compared to Piccolo, but unexpected things happened in droves before. I did, but he sent an egg of some sort. I need to go and ask Karin if he knows anything about it. Oh okay. That is good, I guess. Looking back at the stabilized guys, Shi took the chance that was brought to her that was taken last time. Hey, let me join you. Bulma and her dad don't really need my help around here, so I am free for a bit. A huge step for Shi to make, but she made sure to take it before she fell too far behind. Sure. Let's go. Goku easily agreed. He was distracted from the implication of what the Namekian had done earlier and wanted to go to Karin as fast as possible. They both headed out the front door without another thought and hopped onto the flying cloud. Wait. Bulma watched the two of them leave with a hand reaching out to them. Before their figures vanished from her sight, she saw Shi look back at her and pulled down the skin below her eye in a playful manner. Bulma couldn't help but let out a little chuckle and let her go. She needed the time anyways. This was probably just revenge for taking his time earlier. Meanwhile. Hey kid, what are you going to do with that recording? Announcer-san asked the little boy. I don't know, maybe upload it to YouTube. I might get a few thousands views before it gets taken or something. The kid was picking his nose while watching the video over. The situation was a little too surreal for his brain to handle. How about this? I take the video from your hands and I will give you a couple of 100 zeni in compensation. The little kid was a little startled from the offer. He didn't know that it cost that much. In his opinion, this looked like a very well executed movie shoot if anything else. Sure. Blinded by the money, he agreed too fast to negotiate. Oh, the minds of children. Passing through the air for another long travel to Karin's, Shi and Goku made some small talk. Shi was of course as awkward as usual around the boy, even though their height difference has been improving since the day that they met. She still tried her hardest to become closer to her. So you and Bulma got the Dragon Balls. Why do you need them? Goku was very curious. This round of Dragon Balls wasn't too hard to get from what he could recall, but why did the two girls need it? Oh, our adventure was great. We met a whole bunch of new people traveling the world. There was this one guy with a sword and he was super strong. Shi tried to avert his attention to another subject, much to Goku's ire. She knew that if he knew, he would definitely be against such a weird, stupid, and selfish wish. That is just how he is. He grumbled at the poor execution of ignoring his question. He did the same with Bulma when they were together, but she also avoided talking about it. In the end, he had no choice but to remain ignorant about it. It is not like the two are evil or anything and would wish for something that would harm others. They talked some more while they headed to Karin's tower. Making a quick pit stop at his house to pick up something, they finally arrived after a long-winded conversation that was extended far too long for its own good. Karin was standing at the edge, seemingly waiting for him to come. Goku, I see that you have come back. Yeah, I defeated King Piccolo, but he sent some sort of weird egg. I was too stunned at the situation to grab it. Do you know what it is? I did see that he did that. I have an idea, but I think you would have a better chance of going up to the big guy about the situation. The big guy. This was Shi's first time seeing Krin, but from what she had heard from Goku, he is the most respected and best martial art teacher currently on his planet. Who could be bigger than him? Who could it be? Well, it is Kami. Krin said everything in a monotone voice as if he didn't just shatter the girl's world view. Kami. No way that he is actually real, right? Krin chuckled at the little girl's response while studying Goku's expression. He made sure to widen his eyes at the appropriate time to make him look shocked, but Krin was someone hard to fool. There is something weird about this kid, but I don't know what. He looks and acts like it was a surprise, but I don't feel the emotion off of him. Let me show you. In fact, his lookout is right above this tower. All we need is something called a power pole, but I don't know where it is. Oh, I have it right here. It was my grandpa Gohan's weapon before he died. Goku reached for the little staff that he took from his house on his way over here. What a coincidence. Say Goku, I don't remember seeing you with it last time you came here. You didn't even mention it. She was also a little suspicious of his behavior. They had to drop down by his little hut in order to get that, but from what the conversation entailed before, he didn't know about Kami and the way to get up to his base. Well. Baba told me about it when I visited her one time. Yeah, she told me that I would need the power pole for my next step when I didn't know what to do, so I grabbed it at this time. I see. Fortunately, Baba is indeed a mystical force that would be able to aid you. Krin said that out loud by voice, but thought something different in his head. Why would she tell him about it? It is not like it is something that is important enough to warrant her attention. He would have just went out to get it when I told him I needed it. Seeing Shi and Krin start walking to the top of the platform without any more questions, he breathed a sigh of relief in his mind. Krin would have definitely found out something if his ability to read others' thoughts weren't blocked by Goku's unusual condition. The Force thought that Goku, knowing that he would need the power pole in advance, was due to future information and therefore blocked Krin's reading upon why he actually got it. Going up, the trio circled around the top of the platform where a little hole was situated. Krin slotted the staff onto its designated position and looked over to Goku. Take this bell, you will need it for confirmation that you are the chosen one. Hold on to the top and just extend it until you hit the top. I'm sure you can pass the test and receive guidance from Kami. Wait, Goku is going up there to train. Again. They both covered their ears at Shi's sudden outburst. When are you not going to be training and actually live like a normal person? Well, got to go. Goku knew when to dip as if his life depended on it. Extending the staff, he followed with it at sonic speed. Goku. Shi was so annoyed at the man's antics. She tried to pull the power pole out of the socket to make him fall out. However, the moment that it started extending, it became immovable to the girl with very little martial art experience. Well, young lady, you can ride a flying nimbus, right? She left with a disgruntled expression on her face. She was only really mad because her time with Goku was cut short, making her go back to the house by herself. From what Krin told her, he will be there for an indefinite amount of time. Apparently, his status doesn't let him privy to the exact date, was what she found out after threatening him. Flying through the air on the Nimbus, she easily spotted the broken down capsule corp with all the smoke flying through the air. What she didn't expect was all the helicopters and people crowding around it. Usually, there are no people despite the familiarity and popularity of the brand, but this time there were reporters from all over the city. She flew her cloud over the people and saw a slew of robots and police keeping the reporters from breaching in. Bulma was in the front of her house and boy did she not look happy. She did brighten up when she saw Shishi but was equally confused about why Goku was not with her. Hey Shishi, how was your little trip? Where is Goku anyway? Bulma had to call off the police officer when Shishi landed with a resounding thud. That bastard is going off training again. I don't remember a month where stood in one place. What? Bulma startled everyone in the vicinity with her shout. The reporters, police officers, and even the robots started to think she had a few screws loose. No irony intended. Oh, he is going to get it when he comes back. Wait, did you get it? Did you get it? Bulma started to shake Shishi like she was a milkshake asking for the item. This time, everyone went back to doing what they were doing before ignoring the crazy woman that was in the center of attention. Stop shaking me. Bulma stopped but didn't let go of the poor girl. Yes, I got it from him. Would you calm down? Don't make me regret my decision. Digging something out of her pocket after her friend let her go, she retrieved a smooth orange ball with stars in the middle. I was able to ask him for it and he reluctantly kindly gave it to me. She presented the item to Bulma who gracefully took it off her hands. All right, let's do this. Dash. Wind was blasting on Goku's face as he made the ascent to Kami's lookout. It made him feel kind of weird approaching a god when said god isn't all-powerful like he is supposed to be in his original world. The closest real god in this world is probably Zeno and no one would want a god like Zeno. Seeing the sanctuary above him, he relaxed his muscles that were holding on the extending pole a little. The red stick locked in place, returning to its job of connecting the tower and the lookout. Climbing up the ladder that was sticking off to the side, he finally reached the long-awaited top. The view was something else on top of the world. Clouds blocked most of his vision, but the things he did see was amazing. Standing in the pathway before him was a short man with a genie attire on. They were just there staring into each other's eyes very intensely. The genie had the blankest look on his eyes that made shivers go down Goku's spine. Hello. That simple greeting was incredibly bland. Goku could only reply with his own and awkwardly look around the area. I am Mr. Popo, Kami's assistant. You are the one who defeated the Demon King Piccolo. You have very impressive strength. Popo's eyes were tracking the wandering Goku without moving. He was like a creepy painting with only his eyes moving. Wow, God really has a nice place up here. No wonder he can see everything. Before Goku could walk around the statue that was Mr. Popo, he instantly vanished to reappear before him. Do you have the Karin's mark of approval? Still smiling, he reached out his hand expectantly at the young boy. Sure. Getting the little bell out of his pocket, he gave it to the genie. Thank you. Now you are ready to take the test. You will fight Mr. Popo. Although he said those ambiguous words, his face and body were the same as before. Okay. Little weirded out experiencing this firsthand, he started the attack on the genie. Since his opponent was right in front of him, he didn't need to move his body to hit him. However, no matter how fast he has gotten over the years, he barely missed him. You are fast and powerful, but that is all you are. Mr. Popo teleported behind him when he said that, surprising Goku a little. Mr. Popo stuck out his fist expecting to hit Goku but was met with another hand. After Goku caught his hand, he flung him away and leaped after to continue the chase. Stabilizing himself in the air with his flying technique, he was able to bring out a kick that connects with Goku's side as he was hit on the side of his face. Both separated after landing an attack on each other with wary expressions. Although they both hit each other, Goku obviously did more damage from the scratch that appeared on Popo's body compared to Goku's flawless skin after wiping it once. Mr. Popo had all the experience and skill while Goku was able to keep up with him in pure power alone. One could only imagine what would happen if Goku achieved both, but if this fight lasted any longer, Mr. Popo will receive an excruciating loss. You have the potential with your little understanding of ki. Having a strong body like yours will not suffice in your fights. As you can see, we are almost even in capabilities despite the huge gap in physical power. Yes, I acknowledge I can improve. I am nowhere near my limits and don't plan to stop. Goku was truly excited every time he thought of his future and where he was heading. It seems as if this body and universe have no limits. Hey, I like you. You have some spunk. Goku was immediately startled and looked up to the sky god. Once he realized that he is already in the sky, he looked over the palace in the back. I will meet you, come here. Walking with Mr. Popo, they arrived in front of the large doorway. They waited a little bit before there was a shadow that was nearing them from the entrance. A wrinkly old alien emerged and he looked exactly like the Demon King, except more refined. What? Goku let out a little yelp from the uncanny resemblance that the two shared. You could even consider them twins in the way that they are separated but have the same DNA. Calm down, this is not Piccolo but Kami. Mr. Popo mistook Goku's greater acting with surprise and informed him of the situation. Yes, that is true. Let me tell you about him. Dash. What happened? Waking up from his peaceful nap, Yamcha finds Tien and Master Roshi talking to Bulma and Shishi with bandages wrapped around them like they were mummies. Looking around, he noticed he is on a bed equipped with medical supplies and also wrapped with layers of bandages. To his left and right, he sees Krillin and Kyoutsu in their beds still passed out due to exhaustion. Getting up from the bed with a grunt, he attracts the attention of the room as he heads towards the group. Hey, what happened? Did we win? What happened to Piccolo? When he asked those questions, Bulma looked visibly annoyed while Shishi looked awkward at their situation. You know what? I am just going to explain everything when everyone wakes up. I can't be bothered with you people. And why are you still wearing those bandages? You should be all healed up already. Yamcha was still in the dark, but a whisper from Tien promised him that it will be explained later made him rethink his decision to ask again. Unwrapping themselves from the gauze, they were delighted to see that all their injuries were back to normal from what felt like a power nap. It was at this time that Krillin woke up and approached them. Receiving a death glare from Bulma and pleading stares from the others, Krillin didn't say anything and just huddled with them. Finally, Kyoutsu woke up with a little more pain than the others. Tien went to help him up and guided him to everyone else. Now that everyone is awake, let me explain the situation. All of you guys absolutely got destroyed. No questions asked. You were all going to die from the gap of strength that was shown. Luckily, before anyone could, Goku and I arrived to save your sorry as *S. Goku then defeated Piccolo, but Piccolo shot an egg out before he died. So right now Goku went to Karin's tower to ask him about what that egg was about. Now let Shishi explain the rest. Tien and Roshi already heard this part, but the next is new to everyone present, even Bulma. Well, when we arrived at the tower, Karin redirected Goku to go to Kami. So we all went to the top of the tower. Wait, I have to stop you there. Did you say Kami? We all know that God isn't real, right guys? Oh, no, Kami is indeed real. And if it is Goku that we are talking about, I believe that he is the only one worthy of Kami's guidance. Everyone listened to the story in wonder that God was alive, or even existed for that matter. Anyways, we went to the top of the tower and Goku put his power pole on it. He then extended it and left me. Karin says that he is probably going to be training up with Kami for the next couple of years. To add to her complaining, she pouted a little at the situation. Kami. Interesting. I cannot fall behind him the next time we fight. I will train my hardest and catch up. Bulma, do you have any more of those gravity belt contraptions? Those. Yeah, I made a couple on my time off. Easy to put together once you have the blueprints. Instead of answering the fiery Tien, all the martial artists in the room just go more fired up. Dash. A not so short explanation later, Goku learned of Kami and his past all over again. It was kind of soothing to listen to the wizened old man to talk, so he didn't mind. Anyways, Piccolo didn't have much life energy inside him when he was defeated by you, so he converted every bit of himself to the egg that he shot out. Inside that egg is a clone of Piccolo that has an indefinite potential that it will unleash in this world. I suggest you stay here and learn to way to control your ki and observe your environment to go with your already strong body. Sure, Kami. I just want to ask, how long will the training be? As much as he wanted to hone his ki that will help him in the future, the faster he learns this, the faster he will be able to go back to gravity training. I am unsure, it depends on your learning rate. I want to end it in around 3 years when the World Martial Arts Tournament begins. Piccolo will most likely take his stand there in front of the world. Okay. Let's start then. Bulma was relaxing on the beach in her reclining chair. The sun was beating down on her slightly pale skin and reflecting off of her dark sunglasses. Yawning and stretching a bit, she fully accentuated her body for everyone to see. She was just wearing a plain blue 2-piece bikini with white stripes that was a little tight around the edges. Strangely, looking around, there was no one around. The sun's steady heat, the calm breeze that was ruffling the sun hat on her head, the strange blue drink on the counter next to her, no one was there to enjoy these luxuries but her. She was just laying there with no care in the world until the illusion was broken when a door suddenly appeared randomly next to her. Coming out of that door was a Dr. Briefs with 2 of those strange blue drinks. It's only a week left until the next martial arts tournament, the predicted time Goku will come back. Dr. Briefs was only striking this type of conversation because he knew how much that boy meant to Bulma. It indeed has been 3 years since Goku trip to heaven and not much has changed in regards to life. Tien, Chiaotzu, Krillin, and Yamcha have returned their gravity belts just now. They said that they came from someone named Karin's and will spend the rest of their training fine-tuning and adjusting to their strength. Bulma didn't seem to have heard her dad as she just kept staring at the artificial sunset. She went on a flight to visit her dad and the new castle that they built with some of Bulma's help. So it was only Bulma and her parents in Capsule Corporation as of right now. Your mother and I will be going off to vacation for a few weeks. Eat well and take care of yourself. With that parting note, he stood standing there for a few extra seconds before promptly leaving the girl to her own devices. Life was going as smoothly as it was for Bulma since Goku has left. Hanging out with Shishi, building inventions with her dad, finishing high school and blitzing through college, all of it was sort of a routine in her life. The only thing missing was a short, outgoing boy that could do impossible things to spice her life up. For better or for worse. Bulma didn't know long. She lay there thinking about various things until she heard the doorbell ring from her room. A little tick mark erupted from her head from the sudden intrusion that interrupted her thoughts. What in the world? Dad probably forgot his keys on the shelf again. He should know that I am trying to relax right now. Their front door did have facial recognition installed and ready to use, but it did take a few seconds to scan and approve a face. They still had to fine-tweak it a little, but what it wasted in time made up for in 100% accuracy. Bulma turned off the 4D projection, making the surreal beach convert back into her bedroom, and headed down to the kitchen. When she made it there, looking around, she didn't find her dad's keys anywhere in the usual spots he forgets them. Looking around a little bit more, she was starting to give up until another ring resounded throughout the house. Really getting mad now, she hurriedly went to give her dad a piece of her mind. Why couldn't he just waste a few seconds scanning his face? Unlocking the front door with gusto, she slammed the door open. What did I tell you, old geezer? Stop leaving your keys behind. Bulma started her spiel even before the front door fully opened. She looked down a little where her eyes would usually meet her father's short stature. Instead, all she got was a face full of pure abs covered by a thin sheet of black. Goku had finished his training with Kami earlier than he thought, so he swung by Bulma's to see what has been up. He got a little impatient at the door when it wasn't answered for a bit, but when it did he was in for some yelling. With the contents of her yelling, he figured to just let her go on until she realized who it was. When she stopped yelling, she didn't say another word of acknowledgement or whatever. He opened his eyes to his Bulma's eyes drooping a little downward with a little drool coming out of her mouth. Snickering at what she was looking at and remembering scenes in the anime, he couldn't help but tease his old friend. Like what you see? I always knew you were a pervert like Master Roshi. Goku's voice came like bells in Bulma's mind, frightening her enough for her to jump up in astonishment. Seeing the snickering Goku, her face got as bright as a tomato. She tried to cover her face and speak something out so that Goku wouldn't think of her as more of a freak. GG Goku. What are you doing here? I thought you were training. Oh, was just in the neighborhood and thought I should drop by. What's wrong? I can't see your face. Goku walked inside the house, closing the door behind him. He pulled Bulma's hands down by her arms only for her to turn her head 90 degrees in response. Not being able to hold it any longer, he started to laugh his heart out with tears threatening to burst out. Bulma's embarrassment went haywire when she heard his laugh, and all she wanted from him was to stop. Stop. It's not funny, you big idiot. Why did you come in here without telling me first? Bulma hit the hunched over Goku that seemed like he was dying from the sounds he was making. I'm sorry. It was just too funny. I came by before the tournament to see how you and Shishi were doing. Speaking of Shishi, where is she? Goku was trying to catch his breath, much to Bulma's ire, as she explained that Shishi was at her dad's castle and will meet up with them right before the tourney. Ah, then I guess we are alone then, huh? At least I think so, if your yelling from before didn't clue me in. And just like that, Bulma's face turned red as she squeaked out a yes. It's been 3 days since Goku surprised Bulma with his sudden walk-in. They were both in the kitchen working together to make something edible. Goku suggested that he tried to make something that Kami had taught him, and Bulma offered her help. Looking over at Goku with the side of her eye, she still couldn't believe how much he has grown. Just 3 years ago, he was half her height with enough baby fat to drown a seal. Now he is a hunk of 5'9" of pure hotness that made Bulma have butterflies whenever she was around. She felt she was a teenager all over again. "Hey, can you pass me the pepper?" Bulma expertly avoided eye contact when he looked over and reached for the pepper in the cabinet. Adding the finishing touches to the meal, he plated the food and the two went to the dinner table to enjoy the exotic dish. Shoving the meat that was coated in a strange sauce in her mouth, it melted on touch and burst out with flavor throughout her mouth. She couldn't help but really fall hard at the man across from her from that bite. After all, who wouldn't like a man who can cook? "Hey, Goku. Yeah. Can you come into my room later tonight? I need to tell you something." "Okay." That brief conversation was all they had before they both separated to do their own thing. It wasn't long before the designated time for Goku to show up approached. Standing before her doorway, Goku was extremely nervous about what he felt like no reason. She is probably going to tell me about what she wished for with the Dragon Balls or something. Knocking on the door twice, he heard a soft voice come from inside. "Come in." Entering the room, he saw Bulma sitting at the edge of her bed with only a nightgown on that one was able to see through. Unmodest about showing her plain black undergarments, she patted the spot next to her for Goku to sit. Goku, while trying his hardest not look at Bulma's voluptuous body, he awkwardly sat down on the seat offered. "So what do you want to talk about?" Bulma had the resolve to confess her feeling tonight. It was now or never. He obviously had a reaction from her gown, so that was a boost to her confidence. Only, she didn't know where to start. So, did you think about us at all when you were in heaven?" Bulma was very interested in looking at a piece of her hair that dripped down in front of her face. Her hairstyle was Goku already told her about his trip to heaven and some of his training. "God damn it, Bulma, why did you say that?" "Oh yeah, I was always thinking about everyone up there. It was pretty boring just training all the time and stuff." Bulma watched Goku go into his own world in explaining more about his training. It's as if he didn't think of anything but getting stronger. "Kami actually told a joke." "What?" Bulma jumped on the unsuspecting Saiyan and pinned him on the bed. Goku could easily overpower the young girl, but he waited for what she had to say that led them to this position. However, he definitely did not expect what happened next. "You talk too much." And with that, she aligned her face with his and went in for the kiss. When their lips touched, Goku's eyes were wide as saucers, no doubt confused about the situation he was in. He started to think about what was going, but his attention was quickly diverted to how soft the lips pressing against him were. Closing his eyes, he immersed himself and started to kiss back as best he could. Bulma was pleasantly surprised and really started to crank the intensity. At first, she was nervous that she would get thrown off and questioned, but now it was just a fierce competition on who was the best kisser. This went on for 20 minutes of back and forth with short breaks in between before Goku finally thought that they should talk about what is happening. Separating himself from her, he stopped the advancing lips so he could speak. What was that?" I mean, it's not that I didn't like it, but you like me." Blushing at the confrontation, she could only pour her heart out at this point. "You idiot, of course I like you. I have for a while, you just haven't noticed it because we're so focused on training for a long while." Goku was truly shocked that Bulma could even like him, as Goku or as Kris. He knew that he probably was going to make his move on Shi if she didn't to spawn Gohan and Goten, but he was thrown a curveball to the head instead. Shi is cute herself with all the womanly charm that she slowly built up, but Bulma is the male fantasy of hotness that captures you when you first see her, especially in person. I see, then do you want to continue? Seeing her nod her head and lean in for another kiss, Goku had to let one go for another. Bye, Shi, guess I am ending up with Bulma. Or so he thought. /N, hey guys, this is what you have been waiting for, some R18 stuff. Woo. Anyways, let me explain how this will work for this and future R18 chapters. So I will be wanting to add some snippets of sex stuff in regular chapters, but they won't be as intense and focused as chapters like these. I do want to do stuff that is not just vanilla because it will get boring real fast if it's just the same stuff but with different characters. I will be mix-matching characters and focusing on different fetishes in different chapters. I will be showing which characters are being displayed and tag what is going to happen in the said chapter. I won't go overboard in anything, so don't worry. Suggestions would be taken on what you like to see based on how many likes the comment will get or if I like it in general. If you like a certain chapter / what type of sex is going on in the chapter, comment on it giving it a thumbs up or something so I will make more of what you guys like. Characters, Bulma. Tags, vanilla. The kissing went on for some time after the confession, and to be perfectly honest, they were fine with that. They were both virgins, they were hesitating to go to the next step at all. Goku took it before her and instead of placing his hands on face, he put them on her large, sweet marshmallows. His sly hands went under her gown and cupped her perfect breast. In his hands, they felt just right in size and softness. The response was immediate when Bulma tried to jerk her head back from the intense sensation only for Goku to follow her, never leaving her lips. Now, Goku was on top kissing the whimpering blue-haired beauty as she desperately tried to control her pleasure. Goku didn't stop there as his second hand slowly slid down to her panties and entered the damp chamber. Bulma tried her hardest to stop his hand by pulling on it, but with a pinch on her nipple, she lost the strength on hands. Thinking she has seen the worst, Goku's large hands started to simulate her clitoris in circles. Bulma gasped in the middle of their kiss, allowing Goku the opening he needed. Inserting his tongue into her opened mouth, he touched tongues and started to savor her sweet taste. Their tongues danced as Goku stopped rubbing circles around her clitoris and entered into her vagina. 2 fingers lodged itself inside of Bulma, moving in and out, circling itself inside of her cave. Bulma lost herself in the pleasure and stopped resisting what Goku was giving her. This is all that she wished for if the damp sheets weren't enough indication. Not knowing what to do with her hands, she reached for his private spot to find a fairly large rod waiting for her to grab onto. Grabbing it with both hands, she still had some room to spare when she started to slowly stroke, not really knowing what to do it. Warm, soft, enticing were the words that came into her mind when she made contact with his dick that was waiting to impale her. Shock, arousal, and a little bit of fear came next when the dick in her hand started to grow more and more than its original size. Before she could ponder on it a little bit more, she started to feel something a little funny in her nether regions and forcefully stopped the kiss due to it. Her eyes started to become unfocused and the used tongue started to flap up and down with the movements that she was feeling. Goku got right up to her ear and started to amp up his movements when she saw the face of pure euphoria on it. "You about to come, baby?" I knew you were a pervert, come for me. Do it. With his last words, he lightly bit her ear, making her go into overdrive. Nearly whitening out her eyes, her legs started to buckle from the intense climax. At its peak, her waist was suspended in midair with Goku's hand still stirring her up a little. Finally going down, the pleasure was too much for Bulma's brain to take in all at once. All her time masturbating, mostly to Goku, was never this pleasurably and never as intense as this one. Goku took off her gown and underwear to fully take in the beauty that was lying underneath him. Disappearing from Bulma's vision, he took off the shirt and shorts he was wearing to make them both fully naked. Bulma looked towards him, weakly lifting up her head. She was caught staring at the monster that was looking back at her. 9 inches of pure meat stared back at her as drool started to come from both of their mouths at the same time. His hair was lightly trimmed while hers was completely shaven off. Now she was really nervous at the prospect of that coming inside of her, and Goku saw it immediately. When Goku went back on the bed, Bulma went back to looking up at the wall, opting to not think about it too much or else she wouldn't enjoy it. Waiting and waiting for her lover's long cock to go inside of her smaller frame, she was instead met someone soft, wet, and extremely flexible. Her head snapped to her pussy and saw a handsome man staring back at her with his mouth fully capturing her slit. What are you? This kind of pleasure was on another level as her hand snapped back to the bed as hard as she could. A different level with the fingers, the slimy tongue roaming around her clit, and going deep inside of her made her come twice in the span of a few seconds. She pulled her legs up and tried to close them to get rid of the stinging sensation, but Goku's head follows wherever she went. Desperately trying to get him out of there, she pulled on the sheets to get away from the persistent tongue. She failed miserably. Now arching her chest up, she experienced another giant orgasm that kept on going because Goku would not stop for anything. Calming down a little, she put her hands on her face from the embarrassment that she felt. She had came like 3 times if not more, putting a stupid face every time to the person that she loved. She heard Goku move up on the bed. When he reached her, he moved one of her hands to look at the shy Bulma. Are you okay? Seeing the genuine concern on his face, she couldn't help but feel even more stupid. So she tried to return the favor. Let me do you next. Gaining energy for the task at hand, she sat up much to her head's protest and lay on top of the nearby Goku. Seeing his dick point blank, she started to stroke it with both hands, observing its reactions. The cock throbbed and pulsated from the slow rhythmic thrust as the foreskin came to and fro, much to Bulma's fascination. A little drool leaked from her mouth that she couldn't contain. She had an overwhelming urge to put it in her mouth. She started to kiss it all over, with one hand still stroking it throughout while the other one played with the large balls attached to it. Putting in her mouth, she couldn't help feel the euphoria come back in as she moaned on his dick from the sensation. Running her tongue all over the tip and sucking halfway, she loved the taste that was experiencing and felt like she could go on forever. Goku couldn't, however, as he felt increasing pleasure and could not wait with Bulma's slow, savoring pace. So he put his hands on top of Bulma's head and pushed down incredibly quickly, gaining a lot of pleasure throughout his entire body. He kept going, forcefully bobbing Bulma's head back and forth from the base of his dick to the tip. Bulma's brain just went dead when Goku started to deep throat her, and all she knew what to do was to suck. The taste and pleasure echoed through her mouth and throat and made her brain and heart happy from the movement. She felt him go faster and faster, much to her wishes, and his cock started to really throb in response. Faster and faster did the thrust come until one final thrust made Bulma come face to face with his balls. A torrent of cum gushed out the tip of Goku's cock as it went directly to Bulma's stomach from her throat. Rope after rope of cum was being pumped out as Bulma limply lay there and greedily gulped it down. They both stayed there for a little while longer than needed to be. Bulma started to panic as she was losing on oxygen and started to flail around to try to get the attention of Goku, who was still closing his eyes in a state of trance. For Goku, this was his first cum shot he has ever had in this body and the craziest one so far. Before he matured, rubbing his dick wasn't quite as good as he thought it would be, and when it grew alongside him, he never had the chance or thought to masturbate. Letting go of Bulma before she could die on his cock, he lifted her up and pinned her on the bed. Looming over her, he stared at those beautiful blue eyes that were full of love. She licked her lips and sought out every drop of semen in her mouth. Each one felt like honey to her, sweet and addicting. Keeping eye contact all the way, he lined up his dick and slowly pushed forward. With ample preparation, the 9 inches of meat smoothly entered her tunnel and advanced towards the light. As smooth as it was, it didn't mean it didn't hurt at all. Bulma's virginity was lost to a 9-inch dick and girth as thick as her arm. She felt like she was being stuffed like a pig. Inversely, Goku felt the wet tightening walls around his dick and he kept going to feel more of the girl that he loved. When Goku completely sheathed himself inside of Bulma, her brain was already stinging in waves as her eyes were looking up and her tongue was sticking out. Loving the look on her face and wanting to see more, she started to slowly thrust in and out, making a heavy moan come from her mouth. Grunts and moans filled the air when Goku started to go faster and faster until Bulma started to scream out in pleasure. It was too much, overloading her system, biting off more than she could chew. She tried to hold on to her sanity as the thrust hit the deepest part of her. She lost count on how many times she came in just this one session, and frankly, it felt as if she was coming all the time. Her womb was being poked repeatedly and it kissed back in response, making her go stir crazy. She would have truly passed out if it wasn't for Goku invading her mouth with his tongue. The humping started to get desperate and faster, coupled with the fact that Bulma was screaming into Goku's mouth. It was an interesting scene. Just like last time, after a couple of more thrusts, Goku did one final deep one and cum started to explode out from his balls to the hungry womb. This one was bigger than before, completely overfilling her insides with white cum. The walls were painted white and her belly started bloat a little from the amount. Opening his eyes, Goku saw a fainted Bulma sleeping peacefully on her pillow as his dick was still inside of her. When he slowly pulled, Bulma whimpered sadly a little, pulling Goku's heartstrings. Putting on her underwear to stop the leak of cum, he cradled her from the side and started to drift off to slumber with a smile on his face. That's it, guys. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel, and also make sure you tell me your recommendation in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.